Hello.
Hey, Panda.
Hi. I guess welcome to Laksa Masterclass, which is a misleading name. But before we begin, I'm just gonna introduce myself. I'm Panda. I'm broadcasting from Wurundjeri country, and I'm a poet, and I love Laksa.
And my name is Haneen. I am on Larrakia country. I am a NYWF co-manager and also a writer. And I also love Laksa. I think that's why we're here, Panda.
Yeah, we love Laksa. It's confirmed.
Do we love Laksa or do we love criticizing what other people think of Laksa?
I think if you truly love something, you're not afraid to criticize things around it. So I also said it's a bit of a misleading name because at first, well, I think there was an idea that maybe we could teach how to cook laksa, but then it's actually a really long process and we thought that might be hard to watch, but maybe we'll do a laksa live stream next year. If that's a TVC thing, just a suggestion, so just putting it out there.
Yeah, and I mean, if it's something that you want, then make it go off on Twitter and everyone will listen like they did last time, apparently.
So maybe we've both got laksa with us tonight, but I'd love to see your laksa prep / your laksa coming together, Haneen. So you could do me the honor.
Yes, I'm so excited because I'm so hungry. It's all I've been thinking about because, as you mentioned, it takes a really long time to make a laksa. So mine has come together over 2 days. I made a lot of it. I started doing the prep for this during a staff meeting last night. I am making a laksa johor, which begins with spaghetti.
Beautiful.
And then it has a fish curry kind of based broth. It's not really a broth. It's really thick. So I reckon I'll be able to display it in the same way. Let's give it a red hot crack.
Beautiful. Amazing.
And then we have condiments, because what's laksa without condiments, right?
Oh, the condiments make the laksa, dare I say. I am so excited. I'm like the suspense.
I think I'm just going to have to I'll just talk you through the condiments.
Yeah.
This is just going to get a bit chaotic. I have lettuce because I didn't want to waste the lettuce that I had in my fridge.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, sliced red onion.
Mm-hmm.
Some tailgate, which is bean sprouts, and it's the one that always catches me up because when we moved here, there was just some things we never translated, and for some reason tailgate was one of them, and I struggle every single time I have to think about it in English, even though I speak more English than I do anything else.
Yeah, it's like tailgate like kind of sounds like what it looks like in my head.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that not that little guy? Look at him.
Oh my god, I love it.
It makes sense. But anyway, I've also got sliced snake beans and some cucumber, and then I couldn't get any Vietnamese mint, so I have a combination of mint and coriander, which is actually a really good substitute for Vietnamese mint, by the way, if anyone's looking for it. And then the fun guy looks a little bit like this. Oh, I forgot something else, which in true immigrant fashion is in a yogurt tub. This is my sambal belacan that I made in my lunch break today.
I love how many things you made in such a short amount of time, really, considering how much multitasking went on.
yeah, look, it was the only way it was going to get done. And I've got something else to go with it, Panda. Do you want me to talk about it now, or should we talk about your laksa first?
I think everyone deserves to see your accompanying masterpiece. Me trying not to give it away.
It was a masterpiece. So this is another thing that, like, the main ingredient I'd actually made for Hari Raya for like the end of Eid, which is rose syrup, which turns this drink pink.
Oh my God, the combination is so beautiful.
So this is air bandung or syrup bandung. Syrup basically just refers to the rose syrup. We're very tricky in Malaysia. And then it's got some evaporated milk in there and some water and some grass jelly.
It's so beautiful.
It froze for a little bit, but yeah.
No, the color is so stunning. It's one of my favorite drinks too.
Yeah, the color is usually a bit stronger if you use like store-bought syrup for some reason, but that's all right. We're here, and then you get to like chew on the grass jelly while you're drinking, and I'm going to be doing that.
I love that. I also feel like for ages I was like, all fun drinks should have like a snack in them, and all Malaysian drinks are kind of like that. They always have like, most of them have little snacks in them, which I love. I'll introduce my laksa. I put mine all together, so we won't have that beautiful like beauty influencer-esque like intro of them. But mine is actually like, I can't hold it up to the camera like you did without spilling it all over my lap. But here's a view of the craft section. I was really excited. So it's got like a Sarawak laksa base, but I feel like I'm eating it almost like a yong tofu, which is basically when you get like all these different kinds of stuffed tofus, and you can choose the noodles that you put inside, and then you can choose a base, and like laksa is one of the bases, and it's my favorite base. And I've got this amazing stuffed tofu with kind of like fake meat because I'm vegetarian, which I'll talk about more later because laksa is usually not vegetarian. And yeah, and then I've got this beautiful sambal that I bought from a restaurant, and it's actually, sorry, I almost didn't make like almost as much as Haneen, but sometimes you just have to like acknowledge that some people make things better. Like the sambal is amazing. But yeah, and I also have a fun drink. It's also, I haven't stirred it yet because I wanted to stir it on screen. But this is basically chendol in a glass, which is like an iced dessert, and it's like it's got coconut milk, it's got grass jelly, it's got these little pandan jellies in it, it's got like this sugar syrup, and I hope that you can see the color transformation as it goes from this like 3-tiered drink almost, or like this ombre drink. I was like trying to think of the word. This ombre drink. And how it's well mixed, and I also have snacks in the form of grass jelly and pandan jellies to chew on during this talk. I'm so glad that I can finally drink it because I've been salivating for the whole time.
Yeah, I really thought about prepping the drink like way earlier today before I started work, but I just knew that I would drink it all during the day, and I don't need that much sugar in my life.
I know, I'm going to have such a sugar crash after this, but also I was thinking about how like the combination of laksa and this drink would just combine to have the most beautiful sleep. So I'm really excited for my sleep after this. I remember one of my questions was, do you have like a first laksa memory? And I guess if you don't, like what's like a really vivid laksa memory that you have or would like to share with us?
Yeah, I don't remember my first laksa at all. I guess like I wouldn't remember eating most Malaysian foods for the first time. Because I lived there until I was almost 9 years old. But my favorite laksa memory is I've got a couple, but my favorite one is me and Mum. Whenever we're in Malaysia together, we will go hunting for asam laksa. It's our absolute favorite. Really, well, not really. It's kind of similar to Johor laksa in that it is fish based, but it doesn't have coconut milk. It's normally with like a thick rice kind of noodle. And yeah, we will just like go around KL, and anywhere that serves asam laksa, we will just eat it. That's just what you have to do. That's the rules.
Yeah. I love that. It's kind of, I guess, also when we were talking about laksa, it kind of makes me think about how we're saying it's like one of the most misrepresented noodle soups, because everyone has this like distinct idea of what a laksa is. Like, I feel like the laksa that most people would encounter would definitely have coconut milk in it. I guess the one that they would most encounter is like a curry laksa. But there's actually like close to 20 types of laksas, and I feel like I've only eaten like 4. And I'm looking forward to eating way more. But I feel like I asked that question, and then I was like, oh, I don't actually have a first laksa memory either. I just wanted to ask because I guess I lived in Malaysia until I was 5, but I just have really vivid memories of like visiting home and then being really excited to have like laksa for breakfast, but also for lunch, but also for dinner, but also for supper, because Malaysians eat like 5 meals a day. And I also thought that was just standard until I lived in another country where it was more of like a 3 meal a day situation.
Oh yeah, supper in particularly, I think, is something that like we've been here now nearly 21 years, and Mum still hasn't let that go. That she can't just go out for supper at 11 o'clock at night. Like, that's a normal activity.
I think supper is just, whenever I go back, I'm like, it is amazing that you can go out at 11 p.m. and there'll be food courts that are just chock-a-block, like people eating. I'm like, yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing.
It makes so much more sense though, because you do like your family thing in the evening and you have dinner with them and they're all happy and whatever. And then you're like, cool, see you guys later. And then you go hang out with your friends and you eat again.
Yeah. And like one of my favorite laksa memories is I went to Kuching to visit like some of my friends once, and we went out for like drinks and like, I don't know, to this like funny club, and then we like finished at like 4 a.m. and then they were all like, okay, we're all gonna get laksa, and I was like, oh my god, this is actually like life-changing. I was like, we should all be allowed to have laksa at 4 a.m. And it was like, I think also like when you're drunk, the taste of laksa is probably just like so next level, and I highly recommend it for anyone who hasn't tried it.
I really want to try it, because I guess there's like the other end of that here, which is here in Darwin, which is hangover laksa. So in the mornings, over the weekends, there's a few different markets and they all sell laksa, and that's just a thing to go get laksa for breakfast. But yeah, particularly to cure your hangover.
Yum. I also want to bring up what we've discussed about Darwin Laksa Fest, because I feel like, well, I actually didn't know that Darwin Laksa Fest existed until you told me about it.
This festival is sustained by existence. I just put that out there. It feels like a personal attack from the Northern Territory government against me.
It's so funny. Oops. I just remembered that we had all these pictures that we wanted to show everyone, and I think that we need to show people these pictures from Darwin Laksa Fest. So we have some behind the scenes tech. So could you please share screen our Laksa PowerPoint? And this is actually the first picture that has nothing to do with Darwin Laksa Fest, but Haneen got this, and it's this person crying after having their first K-Tarik in like 3 months or something because of lockdown. And yeah, that's how I feel right now, I guess, talking about laksa with another Malaysian.
Yeah, and also I think for me, because he's at a mum-up restaurant, which is like the kind of place you would go to that's open all night and you'd hang out with any group of people there, and it's just the best place in the world, and you can get such a good meal for so cheap. And it's the best thing. Anyone who hasn't been to a mum-up restaurant, like, but yeah, it's been closed in Malaysia because of their lockdowns. And I guess also I want to take a moment to acknowledge that, like, we're talking about this and we're like, Panda, you are locked down, but we're pretty safe. And Malaysia's currently sitting at roughly 20,000 new cases a day at the moment.
Yeah.
That's really scary. And there's a lot that I think we talk about that kind of alludes to that later. But yeah, so there's a lot of gravity to this image, but it's also really cute and lovely as well.
It's really,
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I'm glad that you touched upon that, because I feel like I thought this was also especially sweet because I was like, it's just nice to have, I guess it'd be so nice to have something normal in kind of a really chaotic and stressful time. Oh yeah, sorry. I was like, let's share the PowerPoint so we can also share some more content about Darwin Laksa first. Can you go to the next slide, please? Laksa PowerPoint. Anyways.
This is my first thing with the Darwin. It's called the Darwin International Laksa Festival. And I really like your reaction gave me the strongest sense of like validity, Panda, when I showed you these the first time, because they drive me a little bit, yeah, I just don't like them.
Fair enough.
Yeah, should we talk through them?
Yeah, let's talk through these images and break down why these images are so hilarious in the context of laksa, but also kind of awful. So on the left-hand side, you have a ninja holding a bowl of laksa, which is, for anyone in the know, just culturally so bereft. And I mean, I think it goes without saying that maybe it also speaks to me being like laksa, the most misunderstood noodle soup, but also in the context of how Asian food in general gets lumped into this kind of like monolith, whereas it's, you know, one of the biggest, well, it's like the biggest continent, so obviously the richness and like depth of like cuisines that you can access are like beyond. And it's just really funny that the graphic designer, who is probably not Asian or is probably white, I'm going to take an educated guess, has done this ninja.
Yeah, and just, I guess the other thing that infuriates me about this is that there's enough people who don't understand where laksa comes from to begin with, and also don't understand that Malaysians are not all East Asian people. Like, we're very firmly in Southeast Asia, generally brown human beings. But also, it is a really amazing place that has a bunch of different ethnicities all at once. And yeah, while we do have Japanese people living in Malaysia, I haven't contributed a bunch to laksas. So, no. Big no.
Yeah. And it's kind of, I mean, I guess just a quick like history or like the context of laksa is that it's very much like a food that they think came about from early trade, and by, you know, when Chinese traders first ended up in Malaysia along the coast, it's a dish that comes from like intermarriage with like local women. And it's also a dish that comes in so many variations because it's actually a dish that's very easy to adapt and like make your own depending on like the ingredients you have access to or the kind of styles you prefer. So yeah, I feel like the laksa is kind of nice once you understand it, because it's kind of like very resistant of the idea that there's like one laksa or like one type of way to eat things, or just how Asian culture can be seen as like a monolith, basically, like I mentioned. And I also feel like, I mean, I don't really need to go as in-depth as to why the right-hand picture is also not amazing. Apart from what you said about how most people perceive maybe East Asians as like maybe the face of Malaysia or whatever, I also don't really understand why the person on the right is wearing a bowl as a hat and has chopsticks in their mouth.
Yeah. I just feel like if that happened in an Asian household, that bowl would be smacked off that kid's head pretty quickly.
And the chopsticks like smacked out of the mouth as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All of it. Just
yeah, it's a deep lack of understanding of our cultures. But yeah, there's also some really funny pics that we found. And if we could go to the next slide, please, Laksa and PowerPoint. So we're not, obviously, because Laksa is a natural product of intermarriage and obviously like you know, historically fusion foods or whatever happen, but these are just some examples of the kinds of things that happen at Darwin Laksa Fest, like this cold rock Laksa ice cream and this Laksa pina colada. And I'm fairly sure that's just Laksa chocolates at the bottom, but I didn't actually research them that much because I just looked at them.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a lot of chocolate. Yeah.
Have you, I'm going to ask this, and I think I know the answer, but have you tried any of these things?
Absolutely not. No. No.
I just need to play devil's advocate here.
I actually I've been so vocal about this Laksa festival that I ran into someone at the last one and she goes, "I'm so surprised to see you here."
Oh my God, I love that. You're doing it for the... You're a brave voice in the Laksa realm.
I mean, I just want food that I care about, that represents my culture, to be represented in a way that matters. And if it's something that's so integral to people's day-to-day life, like it's pretty infuriating that the time hasn't been spent at least understanding what some of the different basic versions of Laksa look like and not just like accepting something for what it is.
Yeah, and also you made the point when we last talked, you're like, you can't just make like vaguely curry flavored things and be like, this is a Laksa flavored thing, which these things look like. Like, I'm not really sure what the topping is on top of the cold rock, but it doesn't speak Laksa to me as a Laksa eater and lover.
Yeah, I think they're like crunchy noodles or something. Which is not ever in Laksa. Yeah.
Anyways, this is just our example of like I won't call them abominations, but I just won't say anything about them. So we can go but it's okay to be critical of the things you love. And also of the things you don't love. So we can I'm sorry, I'm being so rude, Laksa Darwin Fest. But I'm also not sorry. I also feel like this has maybe become a gripe surrounding Laksa chat, which is fine because there's nothing more bonding than disagreeing about the same things. If we could go to the next slide, because I've also got another Laksa gripe that I found in our Laksa chat. So this was like an ad campaign to tell people to get tested for COVID. But it was really funny because when I was reading the article about this, apparently loads of people called this ad campaign out because they're like, that is not a Laksa that is in the picture. And then someone actually found the original picture. And apparently it's a picture that comes up on Shutterstock when you type in shrimp soup. And everyone was like, people were like, you need to get your eyes tested if you think this is Laksa. Or anyways, it was a bit of Laksa drama that I really love.
We love Laksa drama here.
Yeah, because people feel passionate about laksa in a way that maybe they don't about other food.
Yeah. And I think probably just by virtue of being Malaysian, we're probably just a bit too passionate about all of our food equally.
Yeah,
So
like I think
we'll
I
stay tuned for the next food that we argue about. And
it's true. And we would, and also I remember when we were talking about how there were like laksa wars in Malaysia. I can't remember exactly the details of it.
It was this Facebook group, which is the name of it translates. It started during like at the start of COVID, and the name of it translates to like, "What did you cook today that didn't work out?" And it's people just sharing like abysmal things that they tried to cook at home, because there is a really big culture, like we've talked about, of just like going out and eating, and it's really cheap to do so. People don't necessarily eat at home all the time, or if they do, they do it with like big groups of people. But yeah, so this Facebook group, it's since evolved and people just like post random things. But it went off a couple months ago because everyone just decided to post different pictures of different laksas constantly, engaging in this, I guess, battle over whose favorite laksa was better.
I love
Turned into, I guess, like a bit of a regional war as well.
yeah, because I think like Najib got involved and was like, why is everyone talking about laksa? it went like it popped off. I also think Laksa Wars just sounds like the good name of like a good name for like a future reality show or something. I think it needs to happen.
Yeah, but also like worth noting that that's not the first time that Malaysian politicians have gotten involved when it comes to Malaysian food on air as well, because there was that time in was it MasterChef UK where the judge said the rendang wasn't crispy enough? Yeah.
I love that I was like, I know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah.
Malaysian food is just so misunderstood and it makes me angry. For context,
everyone eats so much of it. Why can't you understand what it is?
Yeah, I think that's the main theme of today is I think that in this day where information is readily available, I think we could all do, and not just, this isn't just limited to Malaysian food, but we could all do with just a bit of Googling, maybe a bit of background research on what we're eating, just because, not just because you should, but because it's interesting. Like, look at how many fun laksa things we're talking about.
Yeah. And you were saying there was something like almost 20 different types of laksa, but like at a bare minimum, there is basically one in every state of Malaysia, which is pretty cool.
And also in families even, because it's like, you know, your family will make like quite a variation of, like mine would like know Sarawak laksa in a different way to another family. And it would be the same everywhere because that's just how food works. People just make it their own, which is why that's why food is cool. I can't think of a more eloquent way to put it, sorry.
No, I think that is really accurate. And also I have like an aside that I want to mention about my Johor laksa.
Oh yes, how is it?
Fusion.
Mm-hmm.
The noodles in it are spaghetti.
Yum.
Actually, spaghetti, pasta, which was already going to be delicious, but I just love it because I keep looking down at my bowl. That's what I'm doing every time I look down because it looks great. Probably not for any of you because it's half eaten. But basically, the story behind it is that one of the royal family, like the Raja at the time in Johor, which is the southernmost state borders with Singapore, he used to go to Italy a lot, and he really liked eating pasta. So he basically came back to the palace and was just like, hey, can you guys make this thing, but can you make the sauce better? I think I'm paraphrasing a bit. I don't know if he said better, but basically, it's a fish and curry and coconut base to it that's really thick. Like it's not a soup at all.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and it's even got, like, I didn't know about this until I looked up recipes and had to make it myself. But it's got krisik in it, which is something that I've only ever used for rendang. And yeah, for those who don't know, it's toasted coconut. And it's sort of like one of the things you put in the final stages of making a rendang. And it gives it like a really beautiful, rich flavor. And yeah, it's in this too. So
Oh my God. Yum. This is also a slightly unrelated aside, but I made eggplant rendang the other day it was my first attempt at ever trying to make rendang. And obviously I made it vegetarian, and then I was like really proud of myself because I had heaps of leftover, and I was like, I'm gonna make them into little hand pies, and that is an example of successful fusion food in the household. But I just wanted to share that small culinary win with you.
I love that so much. That's so great.
Thank you. I also wanted to show the next slide just because it's a really, I guess it kind of encapsulates how obsessed Malaysians are with food, because I'm not sure what you're looking at. It's basically an attempt to make like the biggest bowl of Sarawak laksa in the world, and this is apparently equivalent to 1,500 bowls of laksa, which is hectic. But this also had some drama. I feel like laksa goes hand in hand with drama, which is hilarious. But but apparently they made all of this laksa, and then they were like, we're just gonna have to throw it out after they'd made basically 1,500 bowls of laksa, because all the coconut in it went off, and Malaysia's hot. It's food doesn't last there. Anyways, and then I don't know, but I think the visuals of it are really beautiful. It looks like an expensive spa. I still think it's a beautiful attempt at something, regardless of the waste.
Do you feel a sense of pride because this is your home state?
I feel complicated feelings because of the said wastefulness. But I think it does speak to how much Malaysians love food, and also maybe there's like an innate sense of pride in like your home state's food, but also maybe competition. Like, I don't know about you, but I find that sometimes when I go home, my relatives will always be like, I know the best place for this thing. But then someone will be like, I know the best. Like, everyone thinks they know the best place for something. And I think that's a thing that happens outside of Malaysia, but Malaysians are really like passionate about it.
Oh, it's so extreme. It goes from everything, from like various types of laksa to satay to nasi lemak to like everything. It's like this really obscure, like 66-year-old lady who's been on the side of the road for the last 50 years selling nasi lemak for 60 cents, and she sits there and like that. And that, you go off, you drive. It's not unheard of for people to drive for over an hour to go eat something.
Oh my God.
Because they've had a good recommendation. Like,
that's my family and durian. Like,
yes,
just yeah, that's more programming. I like more programming suggestions. Durian hunts. Also, if you go to the next slide, Haneen found this really cute comic about what goes into a Sarawak laksa.
Yeah, it might be a little bit hard to read, so read it out. So it says, once upon a time, and then it says, I have some bihun and taugeh, and bihun's like the thin vermicelli noodle, and taugeh, like what I mentioned before, is the bean sprouts. And then it says in the corner, Chinese. And the next one says, I have some rumpah spices. And rumpah basically means spices or like spice mix, blend, whatever. And it's someone from India. And the next thing says, I have some egg, chicken, and prawn. and they're Malay, and they've got a little songkok on, which is like a traditional hat. It's all too cute. And then there's someone who says, I have some belacan with lime, and they're a Dayak person. And then there's just a bowl of Sarawak laksa, and it's just the cutest, most wholesome thing in the whole world. And I'm really happy I found it when I was laksa shit posting last night.
Also, I just have to point out that the bowl that it's served in is like the quintessential bowl that you'll find in every kopitiam. It's just, and every time I see that, I feel like every time I go back to Malaysia and I see that bowl, it's like, it's not like, I don't know what happened. Like, I just get a feeling that I can't, it's like fine. It's not that big a deal, but I'm just like, oh, like I'm eating in Malaysia and I'm home and it's cool and the food is going to be amazing and it will cost me like $3. It's like all of those thoughts in one feeling. But I
just got real emotional.
I'm like, I always get emotional thinking about the beautiful like bowls and like that hot cup of water which you like put your cutlery in.
Oh yeah, that's good. See, I probably spend less time in kopitiams when I'm in Malaysia and I'm at mamak restaurants more.
I can't wait for the day when I'm like, maybe one day in the distant future I'll take you to a kopitiam and you can take me to a mamak. Even though like we've both been there, but it'll be cute.
It will be so cute.
I also just remembered this other thing that we talked about, which I want to talk about now, was about how laksa isn't really like a meal that I don't actually eat it that much because making it is not ideal. Like, I mean, it's you have to set aside time in your day and it's not something that you can just whip up. And most of the time in Malaysia, most people would just like go to a place to eat it because, I don't know, it would be like this uncle or auntie who's been doing it for years. It will cost like $3 and yeah, it's just like, and the vibes are so good in like food courts or whatever. It's like, why wouldn't you just go do that? So I feel kind of emotional thinking about that as well.
Like, yeah, absolutely. I think for me, yeah, like we've got a couple people in my family who make laksa and like that's their thing. So if I know I go to a certain auntie's house, she has a laksa utara, which means like a northern type laksa, which again is like a fish-based one. And that's where some of my family's from. So I think that's where like I keep coming back to fish-based laksas. But yeah, like if I go there, that's her thing. You have to eat it. Like it's rude if you don't eat that dish because it's a specialty. But then I'll go to another uncle's house and he always has a spread for everyone. He just like assumes that he's feeding 15 people every night. And he usually is, to be fair. But like it just means that when you go to all the different people who are selling food on the side of the road or wherever it is and you buy it, you get lots of different things to try. And then everyone has a little bit of everything. You don't have just like one big bowl of something to yourself. Like you share little bits of it together. And for me, that's Malaysian food. Like you will have foods from all different cuisines on one table and you will share it with 15 different people at any given point, just going in and out of the house. Like it's just that sense of sharing things with people. And you do want to make sure, like it is competitive when you're going, oh yeah, like I know the best place, but it's also because you really want to make sure that someone eats the best thing that you can possibly think of.
Yeah.
So wholesome.
Oh my God. Yeah, I think one of the most Malaysian things about me is the fact that whenever I eat out, I'm like, I absolutely refuse like for us to have a subpar meal. I'm going to do all the research. I'm going to scour all my Facebook groups that I'm part of. And we'll just have like, I will always have like an emergency list of meals that we can go and eat because I think it's like, you know, it's so, you know, everyone talks about it like food is love, whatever, but it's actually just the easiest way for my family to show that they care for me, especially because I only go back every once so often. So instead of being like, you know, it really bridges that kind of weird awkwardness when you haven't seen someone for a while. They're like, oh, just eat all of these things. And, oh, you finished that, you need to eat some more. And I'm like, that's what I love so much about being back home, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Even like, yeah, one of my uncles, I'll stay at one uncle's house when I go. And he's really lovely. He doesn't tell anyone that I'm there, so I don't have to do the whole calling around thing, which my grandmother used to make me do.
Oh my
But word will still get out, and then I'll have another uncle who lives like 3 minutes away, and he'll just come in and drop food off. And I'll wake up one morning and I'll go downstairs and it'll be like, oh, Amisai just left some food for you. And it could just be anything. And it's always tied up in lots of little plastic bags, which I know is like not good, but it's very emblematic of Malaysian takeaway.
Yeah.
And just makes me feel things.
Oh my God, that's so beautiful. It also makes me think of like the raffia string that's just always in my grandma's kitchen, because that's from some takeaway of some sort. I think also there is one more slide I want to show you, because Haneen found this amazing thing on the internet and we need to share it with everyone. So,
but just quickly as well, while you're on the raffia string.
yeah.
And talking about people not like recognizing symbols of things, which I don't expect anyone to know. But there was a trend for a little while where you could get like hoop earrings that had raffia tied around them. And you could get them from Lovisa and they cost like $10 or so. And I lost it. I just thought that was so funny because I could just imagine my grandparents seeing that and just like yelling at someone for spending money on that. That is like I was just keeping the scraps to be a takeaway.
And like weaving it through your hoops. So funny. Oh my God. So I wanted to share this before we finish our cute Laksa dinner, because this is one of the most amazing things that I've ever seen on the internet. Do you want to intro what this beautiful creation is?
I absolutely do. So this actually is what I was talking about earlier. It is sort of a Penang Laksa. Well, that's it on the left. It's a birthday cake that a woman made for her husband.
It's so...
because he doesn't really like cake. And she knew that the whole family would eat laksa and he would enjoy it more. Because, like you were saying before, Panda, it's not really an everyday kind of meal because it takes so long. But yeah, that's what she did.
It's actually, I hope one day someone loves me enough to make me a laksa cake. That's all I can say.
I'll make you a laksa cake, Panda. It won't ship very well, but we could try it.
All right. I'm like, and I'll make you dessert, which I'm like, there's just not enough time to talk about Malaysian food, but Malaysian dessert is a whole other realm of, it's like too much. You need like 24, we need a live stream for that.
Absolutely. And we'll just have to eat everything simultaneously. But also, weirdly enough, for Malaysian desserts, even though almost everything low-key has seafood or some sort of meat in it, in terms of savory food, almost all of our sweets are vegan.
Oh my God. I love it. And I was also going to say, I don't know if this is a thing that happens in your family, but my mom thinks that it's like really Malaysian that she does this. And she was like, the best, when something's like, she's like, it's not too sweet. And that's like a compliment for like.
Oh yeah.
I was like she'll be like, oh, this clay is really good. It's not too sweet. And I'm like, and that's like the only comment. It's like on that.
No, I can vouch for that. She's right. She's absolutely right.
Oh, I can't wait. Well, I was also, before like we go, I guess, I was saying that every time I have a friend over, my mom insists on making laksa. So hopefully one day you can try her laksa. Because she will definitely make it for you and then try to give you like a Tupperware to take it home as well.
Yeah, my mum does the same thing. She buys, she stockpiles takeaway container type Tupperwares just so she can give away the extra food that she makes. So if you come to Darwin, I'll make you a vegetarian laksa. If you come to Adelaide, my mum will try and give you something vegetarian. She'll attempt.
Oh my God, it's okay. When it comes to laksa, sometimes I'm like, it's fine. It's cultural. And that matters more to me than anything else. I'm also think it's so wild that we haven't met in person, but we've shared this like beautiful laksa dinner together and have talked so much about laksa and other things.
Yeah, it's so good. Thank you so much. I can't believe this is the second year in a row that we've been lucky enough to just talk at each other about our fish. What a beautiful time.
Yeah, thank you and YWF for letting us just chat and eat. I can't imagine many other situations where we would be filmed doing that, but I love it. Thank you for bringing us together. I feel like we need to wrap up soon, so I finished my drink, so it's probably good timing because I need to go downstairs and get a spoon and fish out the jellies. But thanks so much for this chat and for demonstrating all the laksa and for all the laksa talk and everything else. And for everyone,
thank you so much. And
and to everyone who watched as well.
yeah, thank you for watching us just be ourselves, our Asian auntie selves.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my God, it's an unavoidable future that I can't wait for. But yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you so much.
Bye.